Hi there makeup addicts, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Sarah, thanks so much for joining me. And today I'm just going to be talking through some of my favourite and what I consider to be the best eyeshadow brushes. Welcome back, thanks for watching. So just to put into perspective, I know that my channel is called Sarah's Makeup Addiction. That does come with a mild addiction to brushes as well. So, you know, just to like put it in perspective, there's quite a lot of brushes in my life. However, today I just want to talk about eyeshadow brushes. No one needs this many brushes whatsoever. No one does. I just really like to buy them, and some of them I like to buy just to look at. But let's get into actual eyeshadow brushes and the ones that I feel I use the most, are the best at their job and the best value for money as well, because I think that's quite important. So even just gathering all of these together just now, I started to get a little bit embarrassed about how many eyeshadow brushes I've got. Please try not to judge me, though to be fair, I would completely judge myself if I was watching this. In my humble opinion, I would say that you actually could get by with maybe just 3 brushes, and to be fair, you really don't need to spend a lot of money on brushes to get a good result with your eyeshadow. To be fair, you don't need to spend any money on brushes. You could literally apply your eyeshadow with your fingers and you'd still be okay. But this is just in case you're interested in the brushes that I use, in my opinion the best, or just what are my favourites. What do I look out for when I'm buying a new makeup brush? And hopefully this can help you if you're looking to make any purchase of a brush anytime soon. This video might be able to help you. So let's just start and get the obvious ones out of the way. If you have watched any of my swatching videos, you will have seen 2 brushes pop up as my favourite brushes quite often. So these 2 are both from MAC. I've had this brush for so long that the number's worn off it. It doesn't even say MAC on it anymore. Oh, you can just about make out where it used to say it there, but they've just been washed to death and held to death, so they no longer say that. This is a MAC 239. This physical brush is the first brush that I ever bought from MAC, probably 10 years ago, which tells you a lot about how long they last. This is a packing brush, this is a shader brush. I really like this brush because I find that it picks up shadow really well and then lets go of it really well on your eye. Really great for mattes, really great for shimmers. Just if you want to pack shades on, this does really well. If you've watched any of my swatching videos, you will have seen this brush be used. Look, it picks it up really well and then deposits it onto your skin in a really nice fashion. Just really like this brush. Probably my favourite brush of all time, but definitely one of my favourites. Then we move on to the MAC 221, and this is a blending brush. And what I find really amazing about this brush is how well it keeps its shape. So this brush here is probably, well, you know, I haven't bought one of these for about 5 years, so it's at least 5 years old. And it's been washed hundreds of times, and it just keeps its shape so well. And am I heavy-handed? I probably am heavy-handed these days with the washing of my brushes because I know what they can withstand, so I do it really quickly. I just find it really impressive that it keeps its shape for so long. This is just a really nice brush for any sort of blending. As you will see if you watch any of my full first impression or swatching videos, you will see that this is the brush that I use every single time to show you blending swatches. Absolute favourites. So it's worth bringing Morphe into this conversation. Morphe do quite a few flat shader brushes, and this one, the Morphe M210, is there for me. I don't know if it is or not, but for me this is their answer to the MAC 239. Very, very similar in shape, very similar in density. It's really quite nice and soft, and you get very much the same result. This is not expensive. If this is more than a £5, I'll be shocked. You can definitely get Morphe's alternative for a fraction of the cost. When it comes to this brush here, the 229, it's not exactly the same brush, but it's this one here. And this is a Morphe M506. Now, whilst they're completely not the same at all, the 506 is a lot shorter and probably a little bit fatter when it comes to how big the barrel is. But this is a nice soft brush. It fluffs out really well, really nice for blending. I use this quite a lot because I do find that you can just get in a bit closer. With the bristles being a bit shorter, you can just get in a bit closer to your eye and just have a little bit of control there. So for me, if you had these two or these two brushes or a combination of the two, you have enough brushes in your life to basically achieve most looks that you could ever want to achieve. So now that I've covered my favourites, let's just talk about some of these other ones here that I use quite a lot. Look! This little brush, this fluff shadow brush from Benefit, is the first expensive brush I bought. And when I say expensive brush, I bought this for about £14. Wow, probably like 15 years ago. Is that gross that I've had a brush that long? About 15 years ago. I can't part with it. It just sits in my little brush stash going, I was the first one here. That's what this brush says to all the other brushes. Oh, but it's so cute. You can't really buy that anymore. Also somewhere in here is my favourite brush that I've never used. Oh, it's here. This brush. This is a MAC 239. And this is from a couple of Christmases ago. MAC did a collaboration with Mariah Carey. And this, I don't know whether you'll be able to pick that up on camera, but it is so unbelievably glittery and sparkly that I bought it with the intention of using it, but then every time I go to use it, I'm like, I can't use it when I've got others in use, and I can't imagine this would last forever if I was to continually wash it. So yeah, let's put that one away anyway. I digress. Other brushes that are useful. So the first obvious one for me is a MAC 217. This is just a bigger fluffy brush. So it's just a bigger, fluffier brush than the MAC 221. This is longer in its bristles, and I use this for blending out bigger areas. Like if you want to just throw loads of colour throughout your crease, this is a good one to do that with. A good alternative to this is this Sigma E35, another one for just throwing loads of colour down in your crease, and Morphe do a version of this, an M433, very similar. Oh, that's a nice soft one actually. All very similar brushes give you a very similar effect, and they just kind of sit in the blending category for me. The other thing that I find really useful to have is really tiny, densely packed brushes, and these come in a couple of different forms. I mean, they come in tiny little brushes like this. These are really good for either doing detail work or for me on my lower lash line to really get tucked underneath my eyelashes. So they can either come in this form. This is a Morphe 213. These tiny brushes from Real Techniques. This is a accent brush, very much what I use it for. There's little pencil brushes that you can get here. This is a old Charles Fox brush with a really long number, 81460/31. Rolls off the tongue. There's another one in here somewhere as well. This Morphe one here, little nice densely packed brush, M326. And I've also somewhere got a Crown. This is a really nice brush actually. This Crown C515 pencil brush. Very, very similar effect. Just smaller brushes that just allow you to get in and do a little bit more detail work. Love these to bits. I suppose the only other things left for me really, I know there's still a lot down there, but the only things that are really left for me really are about eyeliner. So I've got a couple, this one here, there, left it in the pot, this one here. So these three are what I would use, one of these anyway, to do eyeliner with. So this one is from Screenface. If you've never heard of Screenface, they used to have a shop near Covent Garden. They've got a website, just search for it on Google, Screenface, it'll come up. They do lots of, makeup for the screen, so you can always find the RMCA stuff on there and whatnot, but they do their own line of brushes, and this brush probably cost me about £2. They are not expensive, and they've got a huge range of brushes and accessories and all sorts on there, so I would definitely recommend you check them out if you don't want to pay a lot for your brushes but would like the sort of quality that professionals use. brilliant brushes. So this one here is quite flimsy, really doesn't have many bristles at all. And this I would use if I had a really liquidy liner. So that's that one. I then have this paintbrush. It's just a really tiny pointed paintbrush. This is just a little bit denser. It's got a little bit less give in it than this one has. I can just flatten this one really easily and not so much with this one. It's a paintbrush, so if I've just got a slightly thicker formula of liner, I'll use this one. And this is a Sigma E506, but this is a little bit thicker and it's a lot denser, so it's a little bit harder to move. And this is really good if you're using, you know, like one of those liners in a pot that's like a quite a thick gel. That's good for that one. Of course, the other thing that you could use for your liner is one of these angled brushes. This is a Sephora brush that came in a set, angled liner. Good for brows, obviously, but also good for just doing liner on your eye because they're quite thin and would do that job as well. There is one other type of brush that I use quite a lot, and it's these really tiny kabuki style brushes. I use this in almost every video where I apply eyeshadow to apply my eyeshadow base. I just find that it just gives a really good coverage. It's nice and soft. I've used this to put my eyeshadow base on. I do have a Real Techniques version of this brush somewhere, but it's not there, never mind. But that's that one. And that's it in terms of what types of brushes I use. Everything else that you see down here is just a version or another make's version of one of these 4 different types of brushes, whether it's detailed, a liner brush, a packing brush, or some style of fluffy blending brush. All of these down here serve those purposes. But what I would like to talk to you a tiny bit about is the difference in brands and what you get for your money. So let me just jump into that for a second. So let's just talk briefly about value for money, and let's start with the MAC 239. Now the 239, I've just had a look online. At the point of filming this, they were £16.80. If that offer's still on, I'd say it's a bit of a bargain, but the normal selling price is £21. The normal selling price of a Morphe M210 is £5. So, you know, you're talking, this one is 4 times the price, just over 4 times the price of the Morphe M210. Now, for me, the M210 is one of the better Morphe brushes. I think it does really well at picking shadow up and laying it down, and is a really nice alternative if you didn't want to spend the money on the MAC brush. I could completely understand why. If all you're caring about is results, it will get the job done, and I think it's a nice brush. Now let's talk about the MAC 221. It's the same price, it's £21, and is also currently on offer for £16.80. That's also a bargain. If you can fork that out for a brush, then I'd definitely recommend it. These brushes are absolutely fantastic, but this brush is where I want to demonstrate my point around quality. So if you look at the image that I'll put on the screen, of this brush, you'll see that that image looks like this. That image looks like this brush. This brush is at least 5 years old and still looks like that picture, give or take, and it's been washed tons of times. £21. The Morphe M506 is £8, so a little bit more than the M210, and still a lovely, lovely brush. Gets you very, very similar results, if not the same results. No one would ever tell. Really nice brush. £8. I love this brush, I just keep buying them. But I keep buying them because if I now put the image of this brush on the screen, you will see that the image doesn't look like this. The image looks more like the MAC brush, but smaller. It doesn't look as fluffed out as this. It looks like it should taper in at the top, where it doesn't. And none of my M506s do. And that's one of the things that you've got to be prepared to deal with when you buy a Morphe brush, and that's it. Losing its shape, potentially, and being a little bit hit and miss on the quality. Like, you can see the difference here between this one, which has kind of gone all spiky. It's really weird. Gone really spiky. These two are still fluffy, which is fine. But none of them match the shape of the brush on the website. This one is the closest. But either way, you just need to be prepared for them to lose their shape far quicker than a MAC brush would. And then again, you're talking about, is that worth it? I think particularly for a £5 brush, for that to be a little bit disposable, if I'm allowed to say that. If that is, you know, okay, it lasts me 6 months, a year, I'll go and buy another one. great. If you're prepared for that and you're happy with that, then absolutely no problem. I'm happy with that. I'm prepared to do that, so that's absolutely fine. If you want a brush that is going to keep its shape and do its original job for a very long time, then in my opinion, the MAC brushes are definitely worth the investment. However, it's not all about MAC versus Morphe. There are loads of brush brands out there that all do really great brushes. First of all, you can't have a conversation about brushes without talking about Sigma. Up until about a year ago, it was nigh on impossible to get Sigma brushes here without paying extortionate shipping and then extortionate customs when they got here. So I just didn't buy them. Now they sell them in Boots, which is fantastic. So I've got myself a nice little collection of Sigma brushes. I don't know where the other one is. There's another one that I really like and I keep losing. I always try and buy the ones that have the gold barrel so I can find them. But they do a really nice fluffy brush. There it is. Sigma brushes are kind of in the middle. In Boots, they range, I would say, from around £12 to £22. So they're very much in the middle of the two brands. And I think they're wonderful. I think they're really nice brushes. I was always a bit skeptical about them, but they're so soft. So I would definitely recommend giving Sigma a try. If you're stuck in between a rock and a hard place, you don't want to get Morphe, but you don't want to get MAC, Sigma are definitely worth a try. And some of the gift sets that they do, if you can get them in Boots, are really nice. So I would definitely recommend those. And the other brand that I haven't really tried, but hear a lot about, is Spectrum. And again, they're probably in the Sigma price bracket, and the only Spectrum brushes that I've got are these. I picked these up. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I picked them up because they're pretty. They're purple with flipping stars on them, and it's all like an oil slick up here. Oh, they're so nice. I could not help myself. These were in Superdrug. Were these in a Superdrug Christmas thing last year or the year before? Either Superdrug or Boots. They were a Christmas thing. In a box. I saw them, I couldn't help myself, and I bought them. I have never used them. They just sit looking pretty on my shelf. I must admit they're really soft, but they look gorgeous, and they just sit in a nice pot on my shelf looking pretty. Oh, of course, there's one other brand that we need to talk about, and that brand is Real Techniques. Sam and Nick, who have their YouTube channel and recently did a collaboration with MAC, I think. Either way, I love them both. I think they're great, and they do some really nice brushes too. I must admit, I only ever really buy their brushes in a set, and I don't really buy their eyeshadow brushes. They're just not my favourite. The shapes just never really do it for me. This I feel is a bit too big. This sometimes I sub out for my primer brush, but other than that, they just don't really do it for me. They really do it for me in their face brushes. I think they're amazing. There's not a face brush that they do that I don't like. But Real Techniques, really nice quality. Just for me, the shapes just aren't what I'm looking for. And that's it really. So yes, I have way too many eye brushes. Judge me all you want. You can go ahead and do that down in the comments. No, please don't, please don't, please don't. Use the comments to tell me, what are your favourite brushes? Are there brushes that you think I should be trying and I'm just locked in this MAC and Morphe world and I should be trying something different? I'm really open to suggestions because I haven't fed this addiction for a long time. I know that that's a good thing, and my husband would definitely say that's a good thing, but I really haven't bought a new brush for ages and I find it so satisfying to buy new brushes. But that's just me. Anyway. And that's almost it from me today. I have mentioned in the last couple of videos, if you've waited all the way to the end, that there's a giveaway coming. At the time of recording this, I've got 296 wonderful subscribers, and when I get to 500 I'd like to do a giveaway. But I think what a nice idea is to build the giveaway pot until we get there. So, you know I love a face mask. The first thing going in the giveaway pot is this Moisture Bomb Garnier mask, and if you've seen my review on it, which I'll put on the top corner if you haven't, one of my favourite, if not my favourite, drugstore, good value, inexpensive mask. That is the first thing that's going in our giveaway pot. So make sure you subscribe. The only thing that you will have to do is subscribe to my channel to be in a chance of winning the giveaway whenever we cross that line. And that is it from me today. I hope you found this video informative. I hope it helped you in some way understand the difference between brushes in different price ranges. If you want to see the same thing for face brushes, because this was just eyeshadow brushes, if you want to see the same thing for face brushes, then let me know in the comments down below, because I really only want to make content that you want to see. So let me know down below what you'd like to see. Thanks so much for watching today. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button. That really helps me out. And if you like this kind of content, then you might consider subscribing. I hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you are in the world today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.